Well, hello there. There you are. And here I am with my coloured coordinated pyjamas and foxgloves. That's what they are. You can't really see them now with the light behind them. But yeah, I've got my clean pyjamas on, but I thought I might leave it on because they're the colour of the foxgloves. But then I also have this other one that's the colour of the leaves of the foxgloves, so I could wear that as well. Anyway, right, so I'm going to do this, make a painting of them today, this morning. That's my plan. Slightly nervous in my belly, because I gave myself two options this morning. I've got two pieces of paper and two floral setups. These are the foxgloves that are growing. I bought them in Costco the other day. I was really excited to see them because the foxgloves haven't come up in our garden this year. And I've closed the curtains on that side of the room so that there's light only coming from this source, which I think is pleasing. I like the way that it's quite dark on one side, and the dark of the curtain behind from where I'm standing provides a nice back drop for the bright on the flowers. What was I saying to you? I had two setups. I have another bunch of flowers in the jug I got from Veronica that I love as well, and it's actually probably one that I'd find less challenging. So I was kind of fighting with myself this morning to decide whether or not I would take the risk of starting with the one that feels more challenging. And there was quite an argument happening, and in the end I thought, look, go for the risk. Go for the one that feels a little bit edgy. So that's what I'm doing. And as I say that, I feel a bit of a lurch in my belly. But, you know, because I think I've got a story that it all hangs in the balance. If the first one isn't, somehow magical or something, then everything else, goes pear-shaped, which is a whole setup. And you can imagine not a fantastic modus operandi, is that right? Or not, not a fantastic motto to live by, really. Because every moment we can decide for freshly again. All right, enough of a chat there now, I reckon. And I'm going to make myself begin. I've got loads of lovely colours. I went to the studio in Cockenzie yesterday and bought back a bag of paints that I didn't even know I had. Lots of purples and blues. So again, I think it feels like actually I'm being guided towards foxgloves because I've got all the colours there. Okay. Right. I don't know, am I standing completely in front? I am kind of, well, that'll give me an excuse to be at arm's length. I want to try and get all the flowers in, like I want to get the width of them, and I'd also love to get this hearted garden pottery symbol on the pot. So somewhere like there. If I'm doing that, I need to make them smaller than life size. And I don't really want ones shooting off the edge of the page this time, because this is one that I want to contain within the boundaries. Oh, as soon as I say that now, it'll want to go wild. We'll see. Okay, we'll see. I'm not going to contain it too much either. My friend Sheena gave me that pot with some beautiful tulips in it when we first moved to this house, and I really love it. So I thought it would be nice to include that today now, albeit on top of a plastic upturned dish. But I'm not going to get the dish in, definitely, because I want the foxglove. Yeah, maybe if I start, what do you think? Will I start with the foxglove? Do you know what? I'm just going to stick something down there for that foxglove, because that one at the top. Do you know what? As I put that down now, I recognise that really it's more pink than purple, this foxglove, so all my purples are redundant, really. I'm going to check in my bag and see if I got a pink. And I'm sure I do now. I remember seeing a pink. Oh, we've got an SPS 50 in there. I suppose I can always mix the dark red with, a wine red colour. Sorry about this, I'm over here. I am still here, honestly. She says gesso and everything in here. Some of the ink from Lidl there as well, which is handy. The red one. Finding all kinds of things here now, but no pink yet. A fair few reds though. I'm going into the other. Oh yeah, we've got a pink here now, alright. Okay, a couple of pinks here. Great video, isn't it? I've got a lot of stuff on the floor. I do recommend getting onto the floor early on, right? So there's this rose red colour, and then I've got this Magic Fly acrylic paint, and it's magenta. I think those two colours will work in my favour for painting the foxgloves. This one is a bit dark, and it's also, there's not much left in it, so I'm just going to start with the lighter one. Come on. Okay. I think when in doubt, it's good to start with even maybe more abandon than normal. Yeah, not a tall foxglove yet, so I suppose the thing about starting with more abandon means that you actually have more of a job then to focus on, because the more wild a mark is, the more it needs adjusting, and adjusting is quite good, isn't it? Now that's a lovely painting, not by me, by a man called Stephen Lamb, I think. Oh God, I might have got the name wrong now. I bought it from the Edinburgh Drawing School, the EDS gallery, a few years ago. I loved it. Right, I love it because it reminds me a little bit of my childhood home, the beach, and our kind of the beautiful reflections, you know, on the sand. You can hardly see it there, but there's a lovely reflection of the sky and the clouds on the sand because of the water on the sand. And that's what I remember from Harbourview Beach, was the incredible reflections. Now there's a lot of paint there in the central one, but sure, what of it? It's gonna be tamed down later on, I suppose, by the background colour coming in. My plan was, geez, as soon as I say those words, my plan, I start to feel like, no, don't say what the plan is. For God's sake, above all else, don't go into planning. So this is new for me now because I'm working on watercolour paper. I think it's Fabriano paper, primed with gesso. New for me because the surface isn't as shiny as I'm used to. It's got a bit more of a texture to it, which is exciting too. Sure, why not? Try something new and different. Okay, I'm going to put out some of that darker pink now, the one that's called Rose Red from Reeves acrylic, because I think that might be one that I'm after for the darker bits in the pink flowers. It'll just, I mean, it's going to be diluted really with what's in there already. So in a way, I guess I could wait, but yeah, it's actually dark enough to hold its own, isn't it? Just wanted to inject a bit of that to say that it's more dramatic than I've got it. And standing back, see what the story is there. I think I could do really with using, rather than the paper towel, a bit of cloth, because the paper towel is disintegrating more. And I'm after making, what I'm wanting to do is to kind of create a feeling for the lamp, the kind of lamp-like shape of the foxglove flowers. And so I want to explain the edge up to meeting the flowers themselves. Sorry, I just hit you there. Yeah, okay, you can at least see something anyway. Maybe it's only when I turn around that you can see, because I'm not in the way. Right, I'm going to stop with that now for a while. And what about this roller? I might put on some. You see, I think already maybe they're not high enough, and the character, the thing about sunflowers, that are about foxgloves that's really foxglove-ish, is that they're more up and down the way than out the way. Now I've created a wider setup really than what's here. So if I was to be true to what's here, that one would be in here a bit more, and that might be in here a bit more. Do you know, I'm going to put that one into this bit anyway. And I won't obliterate the other one, but I'll just, I'll put that one in a bit closer, because I want to create that little bit of height and the verticality so that I can get in my stamp down here. I don't know if I will, for goodness sake. I seem to always err on the side of making things a bit bigger, which generally, you know, I wouldn't want to let go of that either, because I think there is something about being brave, you know, and having the courage to expand rather than contract, especially early on in the painting. Right, so I'm putting that one there now, and that means that the leaves will be kind of here. Of course, the top of that will be green too. You see the leaves, the greenery will start here. I'm not normally so mathematical about it, but I'm determined to get that Heritage Garden symbol in. I suppose if I do the green I'll have more of an idea. And what of it if we don't get the symbol in? At least it'll be foliage, 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 and I can lift the symbol up a little bit higher if I need to. Right, so here we have, what's this, hooker's green, is it? Yeah, hooker's green. And I'm going to put some out on the, God, when I say some, I mean tons. Oh, there's more. Okay. What am I doing now? I'm going to put some of this back in. And then I might use some ultramarine blue. What's this blue? Windsor blue, I'll try that. Windsor blue with the hooker's green to make it less colourful. I'll show you what I've got there now. I don't know if you can see. Windsor blue and hooker's green. And I'm going to try and make and use my middle-sized brush again. I kind of feel like I need a few more brushes that are 2 inches wide. I've got one that's 3 inches wide. Maybe I'll try it. Yeah, I'll maybe start with that one. I may as well go big. You see behind it on this side is quite dark, and here it's beginning to get light on this side. So there's some nice contrasts happening, like. But I think the beginning is no harm to just focus on the plant itself. Okay, so I'm mixing the Windsor blue and the hooker's green together, and I want to put some brown in there because it's a bit colourful for me. It mightn't look that colourful there, but it feels a bit too colourful for the, what am I doing? I think what I'm aiming for is the darks, yeah, on the left side of the leaves there. So the shadows on the leaves that are over here on the darker side. I think it's helpful to start with the shadows, and just like the bass in music, they say the shadows, the darks hang it all together. That feels better to me now. It's more of like a bottle green. That's what my school uniform used to be like. I'm holding it up, but I think you can probably not really see what the colours are. Anyway, trust me, it's fairly similar to the, well, I don't know. Colour's objective, isn't it? That's quite dark now. And it's not very yellowy. I think it needs a touch of yellow ochre. Ow. Do you know, sometimes these tubes are such a trial to get open. If there are paint manufacturers watching by any chance, could you please do something about the cover, especially of small tubes like that now. An acrylic like plastic, like it's going to really wedge shut. Oh, for goodness sake. And the temptation here now, big time, is to use my teeth, but as I get older, my teeth become more and more precious to me. So I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to use something else. Aha! I'm going to use the tube of yellow ochre, sitting there looking at me. Yeah, because this feels too acidy or green, like too green. Let's see what happens with that now. I mean, that's making it more muddy, but I like it for the more muted colour of the leaves on this side. Okay, there's quite a lot of paint there. Let's see about putting on a bit more fluidity in. As I say now, it's behaving differently, this paper, than what I'm used to as well. So I'm kept on my toes. And there's a balance, but I'm feeling like it's a good thing so far. Being kept on my toes is a good thing so far. Okay, so there's something about the verticality that's enhanced by the drips going down the way there, and maybe what I can do is move this about a bit. That's okay, we're getting there. And if that's that, do you know, to be honest with you, I think that foxglove is actually somewhere between those two. Maybe this just needs to come in ever so slightly, and that can be the greener one, which I can make green, or I can keep it pink. Right, and we're kind of, I'm not positive where to go next, so maybe that's a good time to do, like, I don't know what you think about this now, but putting the Payne's grey into the background there, it might be a bit of a statement, but still I think, got a nice lighter grey there. Still I think there's something quite good about the foil of the dark in the background, making the flowers sing out a little bit more in the light, you know. Payne's grey is very close to black is the only thing. Yeah, I had to read it there because I wasn't sure if it was black, but it is Payne's grey. And so there's something kind of colourless about it. So I'm going to see now if I manage. I might end up putting some red or yellow into it. I think yellow, yeah, I will. Okay, so this is what, hoping that you can see, that's what it looks like now. And I want to put some yellow ochre again, I think. Where did I put the yellow ochre tube? There it is. Because the wall behind looks to me to be a kind of a warmish grey. Come on. Yeah, it sounds a little bit blocked now to me. The thing with acrylic is if I don't close them properly after using them, there's a little plug forms in the hole and it blocks it. There we go. And I think too I need a bit of crimson. Oh dear God, I squirted out a load there and it doesn't look at all crimson. It looks far more cadmium red to me, that one. But anyway, those two are going to be mixed together with the Payne's grey. Now I'm not going to mix the whole lot of them. I'm just going to bring some of the yellow ochre in first and holding it up to the colour that I'm aiming for. And then I'll put a touch of the crimson, so-called crimson, in. And as I hold it up, it looks to me like it's darker than the colour that's there, but that's okay because it's going to spread more thinly out over the background wall, over the white. What am I doing now? It's significantly darker than what's there. So, what will I do? I can either thin it out. This is exciting, isn't it? All these options. I can either thin it out by, and there's two options there too. I can thin it out by spreading it out. This is called scumbling, I think. So I can thin it out by spreading it out like that. Or what I could do is I could spread on some water and lighten it that way. I might do that as well. See what that looks like if I was to just put some water on there. Make it a bit lighter. And the third way would be to put some white in. But I'm usually reluctant early on to put white in, especially in the background. I can always use the white paint later on a bit more thickly to build up. So if I leave it quite thin in the background so that the white of the paper shows through, and then I can create the grey using white mixed in with the grey later on to explain the shapes between the flowers possibly. When I say later on, you'd imagine these would go on for hours, but later on might be in 5 minutes, we'll see. Okay, so it looks like I'm going for the scumbling option. Right. Just trying to get this position of these foxgloves in relation to each other as well. And again, you'll notice if you watch my videos much now, you'll notice that this paint is, well, maybe you won't notice from the video, but I'm having to kind of push it on a bit more because of the texture of the watercolour paper. Really, I'm going to order myself some plywood or what I really love, you know, is the short card with gesso on it, because the short card is it's a shiny surface. It's literally the card they use to pack shirts. And if you prime it, it becomes durable then for the paint. So I'm looking at the direction that the shape of the spaces between the flowers is going in. Let's guess my body really welcomes movement, you know. It's like if I could just let my hands work away on their own, they'd be fine. We were talking about this the other day, you know, the organic creation and technique and all that. And I find that there's a lot to be said for improvising. Okay, but as soon as I make a theory out of it, it goes pear-shaped, so let's just forget that again. Right, what am I doing now? Brown, you see, I think the brown mahogany of the piano is exciting. I'm going to stand back and have a little look again. You see, I wonder whether I need to re-establish those foxgloves. I definitely will, won't I? I need to heighten those ones again because they're nice and bright. But before I do that, I'll give myself a bit more. Yeah, that's a bit better. And before I do that, I was talking about putting a mahogany coloured brown on the background. I've got a nice brown here. It is Van Dyke brown. And I think I might put some crimson with it. I'm wanting to find the colour of the piano there. So I think I could do with a bit of warmth, a reddish colour in there. Yeah, that's okay. And what'll I put it on with now, I wonder? This is where my pyjamas might end up getting paint in it now. And I start to forget about everything else and just motor on with the symphony here. Symphony. I've got grand illusions, don't I? Or delusions. What about the... I'm thinking of masking tape maybe as a way of... Where's the blessed masking tape? Here it is. If I put the masking tape down where the stem ends and the background starts here, I can be a bit freer with the mahogany colour. There. And sure, I suppose... Yeah, let me just try that first and see how we go with that. So we've got mahogany colour here. And I'm going to paint up to meet where I think the stem is. I mean, there are some bits of mahogany too. Just while I'm at it, I may as well do the other side of the stem too, sure. I was going to say to you, there are other bits of mahogany too in between the leaves here, but even darker really. So that's that stem at least. And if I do the ledge of the piano here, it's barely sticky now anymore. And I need more brown. What I can do there is I can make the dark edge, sorry, that's my washing, whizzing away in the background. Yeah, so I can make a darkish edge here up to where the foxglove, or where the piano stops and the top of the piano begins. So the dark underside of that ledge. And then the lighter bit. And I mean, there is actually a stem in there too, but I can lift that one off maybe. I'm putting a bit more Payne's grey in here. I wish I could stand back a bit further. Well, I can, but I just can't see it. If I go into the kitchen maybe. It's okay. I get tangled up in the mic now. I hope you're not shaking there every time I move. And then below that you see this lovely dark shape here to the left of the pot as well. That explains the undulating leaves. And there's a leaf that's going there. And one actually coming out the other side as well. I can do that with the other hand. it's kind of good to do a shorthand for myself so that when I return to it in a minute I'll be able to remember, so those are the leaves there, so that means the rest of the flower will be there. What am I doing? I think I'll do a little bit more to the piano. And there's the kind of central stem then for that bigger one. And I see too that there's another dark area. It's kind of a gift, you know, having it punctuated by a few dark areas. So over here, inside the pot, between the leaves and the rim of the pot, there's a dark section there too. And there's another one there. Let's see. Okay, geez, I'm wearing myself out with all the action. I think I could inject a little bit more mahogany. There. That mahogany colour. Okay, now what's the story next, I wonder? What is the story next? I'm thinking that the rim of that pot could be... What could I do with that? I just want to make the circular feeling of it so that it reads as pot and not just as shadow. So I'm using the stencil to give me a bit of a circular edge there. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. I don't know if it's exactly the shaping of it, but it's close enough. Quite pleased with that now, it's close enough. And there's a leaf that overlaps it. And just give a bit of room for that to happen later. And then behind this is another lovely grey colour, which is more of a light blue grey. And I think a good idea there. You see, what I feel like sometimes is putting on the flowers first. I know where they are. Then beginning to work up the background so that there's the layers underneath the foil over which the flowers will like brightly dance, really. So what I'm focusing on now is the thin layers of background material and the kind of verticals, horizontals, arcs and curves and general geometrics of the background, so that that's kind of like a scaffolding or something that over which I can I'm talking way too much now about this, setting myself up, but you know, yeah, we'll see how that goes. Right, I'm going to put the line here now for where the curtain stops being bright and starts being dark. And when I say dark, not at all as dark as what's happening here. Well, it is almost as dark actually, but it's a different shade of dark. I don't know if I've got the different shade. I don't know if I've captured the colour here, the creaminess of that. I think I maybe put a little bit more of that yellow ochreish colour in there in the background so that it reads as being clearly different from the curtain colour when I put that in. See, I'm going to be struggling to fit in the top of that if I make that the height that one is. So I'll reduce it. I'll reduce the height of it a bit. And anyway, I can always bring in the edge of the painting a little bit if I need to make it more vertical. I could bring in the edge, you know, we'll see. There's no big crisis happening here. We're all going to survive this, I think. This is a fairly heavy drawing board, so I had to hammer the easel into place so that it wasn't lopsided by it. Turning it that way now because I want to let some runs and drips go in that direction from the background and let them merge in a way that is a bit different from what I've done so far. What am I doing here now? Let me see. I could let that alone for a while there, couldn't I? And I could have a look at the greys that I've got available to me. I'll get myself another couple of plastic pallet boxes. There's been a fair few takeaways to all these boxes, I'm afraid. Now, I think this is Magic Fly again, acrylic, and it does look very close to the colour that's on the curtains there, so let's see how we go with that. I can paint it in just now even. You know, the other side, the dark side of the curtain there. Of course I don't want to jump the gun and paint it before, and you know, I want to be able to outline the shape of the foxglove that's interrupting this grey curtain, but in the meantime, while it's drying in that vertical direction, or when it turns back up, it'll be horizontal. While it's doing that, I thought I might as well do something of the background colour and let myself, I can always lift out where the foxgloves are if I've gone over them. You know, the whole make chance essential thing. If you've been to my workshops, you'll have heard me saying my favourite quotes and things. And Paul Klee said, make chance essential. Look at me standing in front of it. Sorry about this. I don't know if I've been standing in front of what I've been doing the whole time. Anyway, this is me kind of making chance essential by turning the painting on its side. And, you know, I can't do exactly what I'm seeing there because I'm looking horizontally at something that's vertical. Yeah. But it'll cause me to see things a bit freshly when I turn it back up. Do you know, when I splashed the water on earlier, I meant to wipe it away so that there'd be a nice pattern left. But there isn't. I didn't do that in time, so. I think it's probably turned that way enough now that I can turn it back up and it won't disturb things. Okay. I mean, actually I could do the stem. Nah, I'll just wait. I'll turn it back. I wanted to leave it running that way enough that most of those runs would stay going horizontal. Okay, that's fine. Right, what am I doing now? The other foxglove is about there. Yeah, okay. I'd be happier with a bigger brush for all of this. But actually, oh, there's Maisie now. She'll have to respond to that dog. I had the audacity to bark outside her front door. Right, I forget what I was saying to you there. I'm just putting a little bit of Payne's grey into the dark grey that I used there to make it darker again. Because there's some parts of it that are really dark. Yeah, the position of that isn't exactly the position of that arc isn't exactly where it was, so I'm going to lift that off a little bit and move it in. I think I can use the curve again though. Okay. Yeah, I'm not going to get in that lovely symbol I was talking about. There's the chorus of flies joining us. Right, what am I looking at? I think this is pot actually. Actually, it's a Payne's grey looking thing. Well, it's actually the Windsor blue I reached for in the end. You would know if I could stand back like 30 yards or something from this painting and see really what's needing to be adjusted next. But failing that, I'm standing back a few feet. What you could do as well is take photos on your phone if you want to see something from a distance. It really, really helps doing that, I think. Now, what am I going to do next, I wonder? I'll take off that. I'll take off this edge where the curtain is sitting. And you know, there's another little panel of vertical, not quite, it's a white wall, but it's not white at all. It's got cast shadow on it that gives it more of this brownish feeling. So we've got the curtain on one side, and the lining of the curtain is the white bit that's in the middle, and then on the other side of that is the painted inside of the window. It's not exactly that colour, but it's not far off it. Let's see if I can make a grey colour by mixing the green with that red. I've never been so determined. I've never been so avoiding of using white, I don't think. I mean, really, you know, that is quite a lot darker than what I'm aiming for, but something has been stopping me from using white so far. I think it's because I want the drama of the thick paint to be reserved for the flowers alone. Okay. Right, so that's all happening there. I'm kind of giving myself a bit of a morale boosting talk, because I'm noticing there's a chance the morale could drop. There's a few stages in a painting where you kind of, I think you keep me going sometimes when I'm just doing a painting on video. I think, look, stick with it. You've started the video, now make it work best you can. Even if it's to come back to it, you know, to do a beginning and come back to it later on. And now there's it does have a kind of a silver grey feeling to it, the stem. So that curtain colour wasn't too bad to describe the stem there. But I think it needs to be outlined a little bit more clearly in the same way as that was, just a little bit more definition. So I'm lifting off some of the more grey effects. And I think I'll just stick some Payne's Grey out again. That's a fairly quick way of darkening down a background. So I'll explain to you there, the reason I was feeling a little bit despondent was that it started to all feel a bit muddy and murky and nondescript, and then I was telling myself, but that's what I want, because I want there to be an impact then when the flowers go on and the leaves start, you know, there's ways that I can react or respond to that will allow me to be more to bring the element of chance in. I think the other thing is complacency. Like, I really don't want this to be like any other Foxgloves that I've painted. I don't want it to be a conveyor belt thing at any point, you know, that, oh, this is how I do Foxgloves. So I want to feel like it's a different thing. And the other thing that's a minor irritant for me is the surface isn't as satisfying as I wanted. I love being able to get back to clean white. And when you lift off with the shirt card, it's really clean white that's left there. This has been 39 minutes already. So the thing is, like, what I could do now with this is I could put it down on the ground and have a play about, I think I might do that, have a play about with alcohol ink and stuff. And I can turn you down so that you can see it, but I'll do it in the next video, I think. If I have a play with alcohol ink and things like that and make some sort of flowery shapes here and then let it dry a bit and use some stencils possibly, I don't know. Again, there's an edge to the planning, you know. Yeah, so I'm going to stop there. I have a couple of little ideas. I can clean out the water, and then I'll find a stencil that'll work for the top of those sunflowers so that I can punch that in. Yeah, okay, see you on the other side. Okay, yeah, it's all right. We're getting there. Bye. Oh, do you know what I never say? Well, I didn't say it, I don't think, at the start of this. My name is Anya Devine. If this is your first time seeing this carry on, I do this for my living room. That's just what happened so far. So it's on Fabriano watercolour paper that's been primed with gesso. I do this kind of carry on sometimes every day, sometimes once a month, sometimes like overnight. So there's no huge consistency, but the thing about YouTube is you can see all the ones that I've done over the years, and there's I think maybe over 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 even years I've been doing YouTube videos. They're not all categorized and stuff, but I think if you put in my name you'll be able to find them like a lucky dip. Okay, anyway, all the very best. Thanks for being with me so far, and I'll go onto the floor next now.